Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope all is well. Welcome to another live training, and this one is the three surprising reasons why porn destroys businesses. Now, I'm going to get a little bit deeper into that in just a sec. I'm here with Wyra, my business partner, and today we're going to be covering what exactly is porn addiction. We're going to be talking about why it should matter to every entrepreneur, and then also why porn and even excessive ejaculation as an umbrella term can destroy businesses. So I'm joined over here by Wyra. How's it going, bro?
Hey, what is up? Man, I'm excited to talk about this today because I think it's something that a lot of guys are uncomfortable talking about. It's kind of shameful or accepted even as just being so common, right, in our society. And so, yeah, glad to be having this conversation today, man. It's definitely affected my life a lot. If I can just maybe share real quick, like when I was probably 11, I first discovered internet porn. And from the time that I was like 11 to early 20s, maybe 22 or something like that, I watched and compulsively masturbated to porn every single day, like multiple times a day. And there's some pretty major damaging effects, which we'll talk about, that I've experienced, that I've had to go through. And it hasn't been pleasant. And I think that there's a lot of men out there, especially entrepreneurs, that can relate to that kind of a story. But what was your first experience with internet porn, and kind of what has your journey been with that, Hamza?
Yeah, man. And guys, whoever's watching this live, comment live. And if you're watching the replay, drop a replay because we're so excited to be speaking about something, as Wyra said, is very, very taboo. And even for me, right, there has traditionally been a lot of shame around this. This is not something that I could ever talk to my brothers about or my friends about. It was just something that was hidden under the surface. And for a long time, I felt like I was the only one that had the temptation or the draw to want to look at porn. And similar to you, Wyra, I was exposed to it when I was 12. When I was in elementary school, some kids brought a magazine to school, and it's crazy because it's something that just my mind picked up on, and it was something that was like pleasurable for me, and it gave me a sense of feeling connected to the feminine, which I think a lot of us as guys want to be connected to. We're masculine beings, right? We want that energy, and so for me, I was exposed at a very young age. It isn't something that I was able to get through until maybe even a decade later. A big part of that was actually my wife. She really helped me work through a lot of those difficulties and tendencies I had. And so, yeah, that was my first exposure. I guess one of the things that I was wondering with you, Wyra, is why does this matter to entrepreneurs? I mean, it's one thing for, as you mentioned in your journey, to just compulsively watch porn and ejaculate. But why is this relevant specifically to entrepreneurs that want to be successful, that want to scale their business, that want to master the art of business and really have a great life?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, why it matters for me, and I think I'll just speak from my own experience. I think a lot of guys will be able to relate to that, is I am committed to and kind of obsessed with mastering every part of my life. So everything from business to relationships to travel to lifestyle to performance. And that's the kind of life I want to live. That's how I define living a great life, is being able to master and really reach my full potential in all of these areas. And what I realized was that there was a huge cost to the compulsive behavior I had of like watching porn, ejaculating so frequently. And I didn't realize it when I was in it, but as I started to learn about it, I just started to recognize the cost even more. And so I think why it's important for entrepreneurs is, if you want to show up and be a high performing man and build a 6, 7, or 8 figure business, and live a great life, have great relationships, have great friendships, have peak physical health, have a deep spiritual practice and be connected spiritually. Like if that's kind of your goal, to be all encompassing, and this is something that you're struggling with, just recognize that there's a big cost associated with just letting this play out. And maybe we can talk a little bit about that. But that's why it's important to entrepreneur men and specifically guys that can relate to to us in that way.
So yeah, man, let's dive into what some of those costs might be, because I think that's what a lot of guys that are tuning into this right now would probably want to learn more about. What are those three reasons as to why porn destroys businesses?
Yeah, so I mean, there's many, and you can go and look it up. There's a lot of information about this these days, but the three biggest ones that are relevant to entrepreneurs is, number one, when you ejaculate, your brain is flooded with feel-good chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, and this makes you feel amazing. Like, it's like your brain just goes incredible. It releases weeks of worth of dopamine and serotonin all in one instant, right? Which is why it feels so amazing. But what happens is there's a refractory period where afterwards it doesn't feel so amazing. It's like you blew your load. All those chemicals are out. Now you need to build them back up, and you're not going to find as much reward in the little things like making sales calls in your business, managing your team, small wins. Like, in comparison to what an ejaculation feels like, what an orgasm feels like, you're not going to find the same level of reward in comparison. And so when we're compulsively masturbating, having orgasms all the time, we're kind of wiring our brain for short-term reward rather than long-term gratification. And that literally rewires how our brain works. That literally rewires our nervous system to be more optimized for that short-term pleasure. And so that can be very damaging when it takes weeks, months, or even years to build a business. When you're like disincentivizing your body, your nervous system, your brain towards long-term reward and gratification. So that's number one, man. But yeah, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely true, man. It really resonated with me what you said around how growing a business is a slow process. It takes time, and there's those little things like the sales calls, the team meetings, the small wins, etc., that in many ways are gratifying. But comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare that to the feeling of, as you said, an orgasm, and that's also by extension why addiction is so crippling, right? You have these heroin addicts, drug addicts that are on the side of the street. They don't want to work. They don't want to do anything except for just use. So it's the same analogy over here, right? If there's something else out there that can give you the feeling that you're ultimately chasing by being in business, which is to feel good about yourself, to feel good inside your mind, and to feel like you've got a burst of adrenaline, serotonin, whatever you want to call it. And that's something that porn can just give you like this, day after day, then no wonder your motivation levels are going to be low. I know that's what I experienced for myself. My motivation would be extremely low anytime I'm going to use the word used, right? You're using at that stage, right? And we're very clearly on the camp of NoFap, that it's not something that is beneficial to entrepreneurs, that they can somehow strike a balance of like still, using it. It just, when you're blowing your load on something like porn, it's not good for your business. That's my take on it. I think there were two other reasons why that you're going to go through. So what are those?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of went into two reasons in one there. One is like there's the neurotransmitters that are produced in your brain, and you blow all of those, you're not going to feel as good afterwards doing the work as you feel when you have an orgasm. So that's reason number one, is just what it does to your brain. Number two is the effect of that is that you're wiring your nervous system towards short-term gratification rather than long-term gratification, which can reduce your attention span and ultimately make it less fun, less rewarding, less comfortable to do the long-term work to build your business. And then number three is like, it's extremely damaging to relationships, right? Like, porn is not real at all. I mean, obviously there's like, that's different now these days, but like a lot of porn just creates unrealistic expectations for men of what intimacy is, of what relationships are, of what connection is, of what sex is. And that was really damaging for me to have to realize that, wow, a lot of how I actually view intimacy, connection, relationships, sex was through the lens, through the programming of porn. And it's been quite a journey in my 20s to like, one, become aware of that, two, figure out how to like even deal with some of the beliefs and things that I've had to work through in that journey, and then be able to like shift my behavior and rewire myself to normal intimacy, connection, and sex. And so I don't wish that journey for anybody. But I'd say that's probably the third reason. Beyond that, it's like what I also realized was I used porn as a way of like soothing myself, right? It became a way of, if I feel anxious, if I feel stressed out, if I feel lonely, if I feel uncomfortable, I realized that I was using porn in those times to change my state and to change actually how I feel. Right. And so that's kind of what it became for me, almost like a drug, a way of self-soothing. And that was very damaging for me in and of itself. Obviously, there's a lot of healthy ways to shift those kinds of emotions. But really just using porn is like numbing them, right? Numbing them over and over and over again. And I think that's probably why a lot of men actually do use porn, is because they're feeling something uncomfortable, and very quickly they can feel something that's very, very, very comfortable. It feels amazing, right? And so by kind of numbing those feelings with porn, you're actually not even allowing yourself to become aware of what you're really feeling under the surface. Maybe you are feeling lonely. Maybe you are feeling isolated or anxious, but you're not even giving yourself a chance to experience that and solve it and work through that at a root cause level, because you're just masking it and numbing it with porn. And so, that's, I think, very, very damaging.
Thanks, man. Appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty around this topic. As we said, this is taboo. And one of the greatest ways for you to break through the taboo, if you're watching this right now, I'd like to talk a bit more about the Entrepreneur Brotherhood and what we do there. And we've had experiences where guys have come and shared very honestly about their addiction with porn or their challenges with porn and using it, even if it's infrequent. And just being able to share that and be around a bunch of other guys that might have gone through that or that can relate to it, and making you feel like you're not crazy or abnormal for being stuck with this sort of an issue in itself is so healing, and it's so powerful that will help you move through probably 80% of that urge. But then on top of that, being able to get honest feedback, candid feedback on how you are potentially enabling this habit is also very powerful. And that's what we do at the Brotherhood, right? We meet every week on Zoom. It's no coaching, no gurus, just a bunch of guys getting together, sharing vulnerably, very honestly about their businesses and their lives, things like porn addiction, and then giving each other support, giving each other the accountability that is needed in order to overcome some of these things, right? How accountability would play out with someone that's struggling with porn would be, hey, my goal is to nofap, not watch any porn for this next quarter. And if I do, then the consequence is going to be that I have to shave my head and stay bald for the next quarter. And hey, I need an accountability partner on this, being paired up with someone else that you have to answer to, not just the shame that you're going to feel when you jerk off and watch porn. No, now you have something to lose. Your word, your integrity is now at stake over here. This is missing for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of guys. They don't have true accountability. They don't have something to lose by not achieving their goals. So if that's something of interest to you, you are more than welcome to reach out to me directly via the DMs. We can talk a bit more about the Brotherhood. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this live training, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.